Mike, thanks so much for being here today. Greatly appreciate it. For those who haven't met you at an expo or EP or training, share with everyone your name, your company name, where you guys are located.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Mike Bears. We're from Derry, New Hampshire. Paul the Plumber. We're a plumbing, HVAC, and electrical company.
Very good, very good. And you guys, a good size operation. You guys do all three trades, right?
Yep.
All residential service or replacement. Very good. And that sounds like business has been really good, right?
It has been. Yeah, we've been lucky. It's been great.
It's, I don't know about lucky. You know, it takes a little skill, a little hard work. It's time to brag. How much have you guys grown over the last, say, 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years. Probably been from, I don't know, 3 years ago, probably like 4 million. And then this year projected to finish with 12 million revenue.
That's fantastic.
It's been good. Yeah.
A lot of hard work, but it's cool when you see it all kind of pay off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been adding trades and figuring things out, and you guys have been. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to digging into that. How neat is it, by the way? Because you came in the business in what year was it?
2017.
2017. So, I mean, you've gotten a kind of front row seat to see it grow so quickly.
Yeah.
Well, and a family business, which makes it great.
Yeah.
How neat is that to see it be able to have success with your dad too?
Oh, it's so cool. I've been very fortunate to have such a great working relationship with my dad, and Paul the Plumber is a huge family company. We have much more than me and just my dad. There's family, and my younger brother is there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's a licensed plumber and HVAC technician, and running our warehouse and our install department right now. My aunt is our operations manager.
Really?
My cousins are dispatcher, and another cousin's a marketing coordinator. Like, we have a lot of family in there, so it's really cool working with everybody like that. But to see what it started from when my dad just first started the business to what it is now, we're like, we can't believe it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got to give your dad a shout out. I know he wanted to be here today, but he's being a good man.
Yeah.
Your mom had a little injury, foot injury, and he's like, I got to take care of my mom. So
That's him.
yeah, and we're thinking of you, Paul. We'll happily do another one of these at another expo. So I wanted to be sure to shout him out. Obviously, it's a heck of a journey to get to where you guys are today, right? And success doesn't just come immediately. So I want to dig into how it all started. So how did your dad get into the trades? Let's start there.
Yeah, he went to trade school in high school. So it was a vocational school. After that, he joined the Air Force to be a plumber in the Air Force.
Yeah.
He ended up going out and getting stationed in California. Did his years there, and then came back. He's from Stoneham, Mass, which is right out of Boston originally. So came back there and just started working commercially in the trade in Boston. When my parents had me, they moved up to New Hampshire. And then he started just working for companies around New Hampshire. Did that until I was probably like 7 or 8 years old, and then started his own thing.
Yeah. What why he decided to do his own thing?
I think he wanted the freedom to, be around. He had me and my brother at the time, so he wanted to be involved in stuff and not have to work the super late hours all the time, and just kind of be in control of his own situation.
Yeah. And you said that was what, early 2000, something like
2001.
And you came in at 17, right?
Yes.
So, okay, 17-year gap there. How did what are your memories as a young kid, as a young person, of him and the business? Do you know how it grew?
Yeah, it was cool. It was like, when he first started it, my mom and I would go on walks and put like flyers in everybody's mailboxes and stuff like that. Yeah, so we were all kind of like just part of it. My mom was working for him at the time as well. She did that for a few years until that became a little too much, and they had to like separate outside of it. Yeah, exactly. And then it was cool because he was like, he was Paul the Plumber, and that's how my friends knew him. And like, he'd drive the truck that said Paul the Plumber, and everybody loved it. So it was really cool.
So it was all positive memories. Now, the business, he knew how to kind of separate it between family, whether there wasn't a lot of stress or because you hear all sorts of things.
Well, I know that there were hard times for sure, but he did a good job keeping that from my brother and I.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. So here you are, a young person. You see Paul the Plumber, my dad.
Yeah,
but that wasn't necessarily what you thought you were going to be doing, right?
No. I'm probably the least mechanically inclined person you'll meet. So I don't know. Yeah, that'd probably tie you for that. Well, we could have a contest. It's an aptitude. Yeah. So I really don't know my way around, like, the technical side of the trade at all. And my dad never really tried to get me into it either. Okay. Whereas my younger brother, he's like, he's like a super tech. He's like, great plumber, great HVAC tech.
He
Took to it right away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I ended up going to college for business.
Okay, very good. So what was the attraction to come back to the family business?
I really hadn't thought of it. Like I had obviously always kind of worked around the shop floor, whether it's like cleaning up the warehouse or doing whatever. I'd been around the shop a lot. But I was going into my last semester of my senior year at school. Was still working for the internship that I was a part of over the summer and interviewing for different places and kind of reviewing some job offers, and had a conversation with my dad about, where I might go. And then he floated the idea to me. He's like, "Oh, I could use your help marketing, and I want to start an HVAC division. So maybe you could come and help me out with that." And it was interesting.
Think about the best thing you've learned on this podcast, or any podcast ever. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how life-changing was it? Did it change whether you could take vacations or where you vacation? Did it change how much time you spend with your family or what you could provide for your family? Now, I'm not saying learning new things that make a smaller impact isn't helpful. Of course it's helpful. So is hearing from people who've been in your shoes and who know what you're going through. It's why we made this podcast. And we hope you get new insights, tips, and techniques from it, as well as encouragement. But if you're looking for a truly life-changing transformation, then information alone isn't going to do it. You need a coach. I'm Rebecca Castle, CEO of CertainPath, and I know you need a coach because I needed one when I was in your shoes, running a home service business where I was the CEO, the head trainer, the ops manager, the salesperson, the call taker, and everything else. That's why I'm certain that knowledge isn't enough, because I'd been a coach to home contractors before starting my company. I knew all the stuff, the right things to do, the procedures and strategies, and I still needed a coach. Fortunately, I had one, so I was able to grow that tiny HVAC company large enough to sell it for life-changing money. And since coming back to what was then SGI and coaching other home service businesses through that same life-changing journey, I know what's possible when you're given the tools and a coach and a community. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll prove it to you. If you've got 90 minutes, I have a free virtual starter session that'll beat any podcast or seminar you've ever taken for delivering truly transformative content. It's free, no commitment. We just want to share with you 4 major things that we do think are the first steps to transforming your business. And all you have to do is go to mycertainpath.com and book a starter session. Because as helpful as our podcasts are, I'm betting you're going to find our starter sessions to be the best first steps you can take towards true transformation.
Yeah. And why did you decide to say yes rather than go do your own thing?
I don't know. It's a good question. It just felt like, oh, that could be cool. Like, I was really into marketing at the time. I was taking a lot of those type of classes at school. I'm like, that could be cool to kind of just get right into it and try different things. Yeah. And then the starting an HVAC department, I'm like, oh, starting a department. It sounded cool. And I was like, take a chance on it. Yeah. Why not? And
Also, two of the hardest things I feel like to grasp, it's starting a new division.
Yeah.
And the HVAC model is so different than the plumbing one.
Yeah.
And then marketing today. I have a degree in advertising. That's from 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's changed so much, the digital aspect and everything. So that was two big chores to take on right away.
Yeah. It was, my dad and I just have a really great relationship, and I just valued his opinion a lot and just really trusted what he thought. So when we were talking about potential opportunities for me, I think he knew me and my personality and the way I wanted to work, and being able to kind of do my thing within his thing. He was going to let me run with it.
Yeah.
So I was, and the, chance to help him out was really attractive too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you came in business, but you didn't get to just go sit in the office right away. You got in the field, correct?
Correct. Well, selling in the field.
Selling in the field.
Yes.
Yes. Talk about that experience.
Yeah. So when I first got in, it was we changed website vendors. We did a bunch of stuff there, got that out of the way. And then it was okay, now you're going to go sell HVAC equipment.
Yeah.
Which you knew was kind of
something you had to get talked into, or you're like, oh, okay.
No, I was open for it. My internship was a sales-based job, and I had done it pretty well with that. And so I was confident that I could sell stuff, but I didn't know anything about HVAC equipment or anything like that. So trying to learn that and then go out and actually like sell, like sitting in front of people at their house when things are stressful and everything was a totally different situation than what I was doing in my internship. So it was different. It was watching a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of self-training. Definitely sold some stuff that my installers were not happy about and heard about that from everybody, so that you'll learn quick after that. But yeah, that was that. Once I got comfortable, that started getting going and we were able to kind of piece together a sales and install department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll dig into that a little bit later. You guys joined us in 2019, I believe.
Yes.
Sounded like business was doing pretty well. I mean, obviously plumbing was doing well enough to go, hey, let's start another division. Right. So what was the impetus to join CertainPath?
Well, my dad got a flyer in the mail, and he was interested with it, with me coming on board and my brother being there as well.
Yeah.
Kind of him planning for the future. Hey, you guys are going to take this over someday. Come learn the business side of things. So me and him went to a profit day.
Okay.
I remember Patrick was there.
Yeah.
Gave his pitch and did his day, and we both were like, this sounds really cool. We were part of an organization before that.
Yeah.
But we kind of didn't feel it was an awesome fit, and we weren't getting what we wanted to out of it. So when we went to this, we were like, this is much more. They have processes in line that we can implement right away.
Yeah.
So that kind of sold us.
Yeah, for sure. So there was you're like, we're going to do this. There was no hesitancy if we're going to go move forward.
Yeah, we signed up that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. So 19, we were in Dallas probably by then. What do you remember about going to executive perspective?
That was just so much information. It's like, it was a world. Yeah. So that wasn't very long after we signed up on Profit Day. We went maybe like a month later to EP, and I just remember like, we have a lot of stuff to do. But the big thing was like, and I still take this like to Expo these days. I think whoever was running our class was like 3 takeaways, and like to this day, like when our company comes to Expo or does one of the trainings, anything, like that's the message. Like, take 3 things that we can implement when we get back. So
because there's too much. If you try it, you're going to go crazy. So.
Exactly.
So what were your big 3 takeaways from back then?
It was really kind of getting into training with the techs in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
Implementing some different processes just to make things more streamlined, like putting things in writing on how things have to be done and just following that model. I think before we were kind of straying a lot, like things would go good and then this would happen and this would happen. We'd go all these different directions and get away from, what we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so like the theme with CertainPath, like we just follow the model.
Right.
Yeah.
So you said training processes. Well, you remember like a third thing? Those are really 2 big things.
Those were the 2 big things at first. Yeah.
All right. What processes do you recall that you're like, okay, we got to get this figured out?
Really kind of just, and Susie, our operations manager, and she was at the time too. She was always like pushing for this, but like really like, putting things in writing, communication with the office on things, just like oversight and making sure that we're checking in and making sure things are being done correctly and that the checkouts are being done and the follow-up, all that stuff.
Did you guys put it all in writing then, also like SOPs?
Yeah, we started making checklists and all that stuff.
Very good.
Putting them as part of it.
Okay. Okay. How long did it take you to kind of get those figured out, in place? And then how did you put them together? Did you guys have meetings and go, hey, this is the flow of the call? How did you kind of do that?
Yeah. Susie was really quick to put them together. We were lucky we were, the software we were using, she was really good at and could put these checklists into them. And so she got that going right away, and it helped. She was already doing her version of it, but it helped getting it in writing and having everybody stick to it. And then, trainings and stuff. My dad was still running the trainings at the time. He would go over it with the guys, and he was always able to get people on board.
I want to get into training a lot more. On the process side, because it's a big question that comes up. People are like, everything's chaotic. I need to write these things. I don't know how to do them. So How did you get everyone on board to like, okay, this is how it goes. I know you're used to calling so-and-so, but really this is the flow. Did everyone get on board with it right away, or anything you remembered and how to do it effectively that would help people?
Excuse me. Yeah, I think that there are always kind of bumps in the road when you try to implement new things and you get pushback, but it's just like not letting that deter you, just sticking to it and just trying to hold people accountable and reinforcing the habits too, because I think that's still so true to this day with anything we do. Like you can run a training on something and be so regimented about it for a while, and then it gets good, and then you stop training on it, and then all of a sudden the bad habits creep back in. So you have to constantly be reinforcing it.
Yeah, consistency is so important.
Yeah.
You said training, and you guys had to kind of change how you approached it. What were you guys doing before? Was it kind of haphazard, or was it just all tech?
No,
communication?
it was good. It was a mix of sales training and administrative stuff, but kind of getting the training from CertainPath and the way to run a call and just reinforcing some of those things that my dad knew, and that we knew we could get our guys to perform better if they, were given options on every call, that type of thing. So that was what it became about. Yeah.
What's your training regimen these days? Like, what days do you do it? What's training kind of look like?
Yep. So it's Tuesday morning is the installers with my brother. Then Wednesday morning is the plumbers, and that could be the plumbing service manager, myself, or Susie. Then same thing. Thursday is the HVAC service techs, and Friday is the electricians.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just a blend of whatever's deemed necessary?
Yeah. It's a lot of, process and sales and talking about options, reviewing invoices, that type of stuff. What could we have pieced together here if we don't see it, see the options and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then watching your videos, like I was telling you, we show the guys that a lot. Yeah, the crown champion discussions you have with those guys is always awesome for our techs to see. Like they enjoy that stuff.
Good.
And then the just administrative side and the code side of things too. Like we do, technical training as well that our service managers will run.
Were you, I guess, what kind of a pricing system did you have beforehand? Did you switch to like a straightforward pricing type of style, or would you already have something kind of in place?
We were flat rate, but we did take on the straightforward pricing levels and all that.
Yeah.
We use it in our tablet.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
sure,
we took that pricing structure and used that model.
Did the techs respond fine to it?
Yeah.
Similar? Yeah.
They were fairly used to it definitely it's different, and we like the straightforward way, but the flat rate, they were already comfortable with. They weren't doing time material, so it wasn't as big of a jump.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you roll out something like that, especially in established business, right? And, how did you do it effectively? I mean, how did you sell the benefits of it? Do you recall back then?
Yeah, it was probably more of Paul at the time doing that, and I was kind of like supplementing. It was it took a little bit for me to get
a lot of
pecs on my side. Like when I first got in and everything.
Lost his kids here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I had to work through that for a while, so I would try to do stuff, and I'd be like, "All right, you gotta go talk to him about this." They'll listen to you. And so he was putting a lot of that in, and like I said, nothing like clicked right away. It took time and going at it, but
sure,
out there. Yeah.
Consistency,
right?
Don't, even though maybe the results aren't there right away.
Yeah.
You got to keep doing it, and eventually it clicks. So like inspections, you've said options multiple times. Mm-hmm. Was that something that you guys had to get better at?
Definitely.
Okay.
Still have to get that. Yeah. But no, we've gotten much better at it. But it's something that you're always working on and trying to get better with.
Yeah, for sure. How did your role kind of evolve? So you guys have joined this organization. You're still in when did you kind of get out of the sales role? Let's talk about that.
That was 2020. Okay. So I did it for a couple of years. We were able to support a couple of installers based off what I was doing. But I was, when it's your family's business, you're wearing a ton of hats.
Right.
So I was not how a typical salesperson would be, just on the road by themselves. I wasn't out selling. I was back in the office doing whatever, answering customer phone calls, dispatching, helping out kind of wherever.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to do back at the office, and at the same time trying to get the marketing going, and I was helping out on the operations side as well. So just had a lot going on. And so in 2020, we were able to hire a salesperson.
Okay.
And then I stepped back from being out in the field and kind of managed that.
Right.
Yeah.
When did you know you guys were able to support having a full-time salesperson and allow you to focus on driving the part of business you were working with?
Definitely the lead volume.
Mhm.
When I first started, guys could kind of sell their own stuff in the techs in the field.
Yeah.
I was going just off of marketed leads.
Yeah.
And so that was a challenge as well. But that started to evolve as they started to see I could do it, and then was getting some tech leads back, and it was kind of shaping into more, the guys didn't want to sell the equipment, and it was going to be salespeople, we thought. And then the lead volume just got big enough where I wasn't just out running one call a day or two. It was like I could have run 3 or 4 a day, but still had to do all this stuff back at the office.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, we can handle supporting somebody here.
Yeah. Now, how many? So you guys are all comfort advisors, or do you have a blend now?
Comfort advisors.
Salespeople. I don't know what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Very good. When did you work, or how did you work with your techs to learn how to flip? That's the key.
It is. They're all on board with it now, and it's something that we still train on the right way to do it and the process of it. But we have a pretty different crew now in the HVAC way, and they're all trained that way from the start, that hey, this is how we do it now. So it's something that they're onboarded with us.
How many service techs do you have?
4.
4.
Yep.
And they all run a blend of maintenance calls and service calls?
They do. We're working on making maintenance and service trucks right now, but now they both do it both. Yeah.
Are all of them, I'm sure they have different levels of skill in terms of flipping, some guys better than others?
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So, all right. So you get yourself finally removed from a sales position, right? That part of this new HVAC thing starting to get going pretty well. Actually, before we get out of the field, the install team is such a big part of it, and I always forget to dig in. Anything you learned in your experience and in growing a new division and with HVAC, totally different model from plumbing, right? On how to get your installers set up for success. Anything you remember to learn?
Definitely. That was the biggest challenge, that kind of divide between sales and install, and just making sure that they have everything that they need. Our warehouse has been a big part of that, staging their installs correctly and making sure they have what they need for jobs, and just what we require the salespeople to put down and write up, and the pictures and videos and that type of stuff, so that they know what they're walking into.
Yeah, if checklists, they have checklists they have to follow.
Yep.
Yeah. How do you follow behind on making sure a quality control type stuff?
Yeah, so that's my brother now, as the install manager, and so the guys at the end of the day are checking out with him. So he's running through, what they did that day, all that good stuff, asking the questions, making sure they checked out with the customer, that the office knows everything for scheduling, all that stuff. And then he sits all the inspections, so that gives him a chance to go and inspect the work, as well as when the inspector's there, he's looking at everything and answering any questions that the customers might have. Yeah.
How long have you had that system in place?
It's pretty new, actually. Yeah. Probably like 6 months now with him doing it. Before, it was more the office trying to oversee it, which was not the right way to do it. We needed somebody who was a tech in that situation.
Yeah. How has that affected like callbacks? And
it's been way better. Well, it's gotten so much better. Yeah. The callbacks, the finishing jobs on time, it's all kind of trending upward.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. So let's circle back. So you handed off that. Obviously, you're keeping an eye on it.
Mm-hmm.
How did your role kind of evolve? Was it then mostly marketing? You said you were doing some dispatching.
Yeah.
Ops. I mean, it's a little copious stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of different stuff. The marketing I'm still heavily involved in. I'm still managing the sales department. Like kind of aside from the install department, I check in with the sales guys that we have. And then it was definitely still operations with my aunt. We kind of worked together on that, just running the day-to-day business.
Yeah.
So a mix of sales ops and marketing.
Okay. Let's dig in a little bit. What's the team look like in the office? Like, just good, because it's a good sized business. So everyone's always intrigued. Because we get it all the time. Well, when do I add a manager? Who runs what? So it's good for people. Good sized business, 3 trades. So what's kind of the breakdown, the org chart, if you will?
Yeah. So my dad is the owner and, president, and then Susie is the operations manager. I'm the sales and marketing manager. We have a CFO now, which has helped a ton too. That's been a huge role. And then after that, we have like our office manager who dispatches, 2 service managers, an HR person, and our accounting department.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When you mentioned the CFO, it was like, oh, it was a relief to get this person.
Yes.
Well, when was that position added and why was it added?
He's been with us probably a year and a half now, so fairly new. He was like the best man at my wedding. So so a really good friend of mine. We had played high school hockey together and stayed really, really close after high school. He was working in corporate finance in Boston for like 8 years out of college, and we had always joked, oh, someday you come work for Paul the Plumber. And then it finally got to a point where like we really kind of need somebody to be in charge of this. We had a subcontractor bookkeeper for a long time.
Yeah.
And it just got to be too big and too much for that. And so we were able to get Phil to join, and he's been really helpful.
That's great. Yeah. That's a whole lot of nuance there on that side. That's okay. Got to get the right person for that.
You do.
On the marketing side, let's roll back to what you're doing. What were you guys when you joined the family business again, 2017? What were you guys doing marketing wise?
He was kind of starting to get in Google. He was hiring a lot of people to do a lot of different things.
Right.
I'm like, we were a little all over the place. Like,
sure.
Very little reviews. I think we were like 3-star rated with like 19 reviews. Oh. And as I got like working in there, I'm like, everyone loves us. I'm like, I hear this feedback from the customers every day, and they they love what we're doing. Why do we look like this online? The website needed to be updated quite a bit. SEO, we weren't really ranking anywhere.
Yeah.
And the PPC that we were doing, I didn't think was really great.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we had kind of started putting some different stuff there.
Yeah. Let's start from square one. You did say reviews, and that's what we always tell smaller contractors. You know what? If you don't have the money, you can always ask for reviews to boost up yourself, look like a big player. So what did you just start training with the guys to ask for it, or did you get with a partner like a Pulse M partner of ours to do stuff like that?
Yeah, both. Like right away, it was start asking for reviews, and then we found a system, and we've been through a lot of different systems for reviews. Yeah, probably don't even remember the name of the first one, but yeah, we brought them on, and at the time it was like emailing, asking instead of texting. But
yeah,
that started happening after jobs that closed out that were over our service fee. And we were spiffing the guys on the reviews, and
absolutely,
that made a huge difference. Like once that started getting traction, we started looking bigger. That online reputation, the SEO started helping because of the Google reviews. So that kind of started getting things going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's the foundation. Outside of branding, but you guys knew that. You knew they had everything wrapped in their uniforms. That's stuff that your dad had experienced in previous systems.
He had that in place.
Right. Yeah. Because obviously you've heard the interviews. There's a lot of folks that don't realize the value in that. But you guys had that figured out. On the digital side, holy moly. I mean, I talked to one of our partners yesterday in an interview that runs an agency, and it's like there's so much, and what's going to be effective in my market versus another. So did you work with a digital partner, or did you kind of take it on yourself?
We did. Yeah. I learned how to do some of the different things, like when local service ads came along, learned that, and we still run that in-house. So that's nice to have control of that.
Yeah.
PPC was outsourced, and building the website and the SEO was outsourced. We learned how to do Facebook ads in-house and some other stuff like that too. And then just to create a social media presence as well.
Yeah.
We started doing the organic stuff there.
When you were looking at vendor partners for more, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you get on Facebook and there's a new agency in our space like every day, I feel like.
Yeah.
So how did you know the people you work with were the right people?
We vetted them pretty heavily for the first, that was one of the first things that I went after when I joined. So my dad and I would sit through these interviews it was a SEO, PPC, and website company that we were looking for, somebody to handle those three things. And we had narrowed it down to 3 different people, and then had our second and third interviews with them. And then finally chose one just based off what we thought we were going to get after the sales process, what type of attention we would get while all that stuff was going on. My dad was nervous. He was taking a chance on me pushing him to be like, no, we need to change this. And there was some friction there at first, because things, when it changes, this has been working well enough. Yeah. So the change was tough at first, but then it really started to take off.
What really was the most effective? Was it the LSA stuff, or was it PPC?
That became, and when we first hired the website company, LSA wasn't around in our market yet. So the PPC got way better. Our website got so much more professional. We used, photos of our company and stuff instead of just the stock pictures, and just made it a lot more personalized. And with that, the SEO, we started to rank in our area a lot better, which we should be with plumber in our name.
Yeah.
And then, the surrounding areas as well. We just started to hit the front page on stuff, and the reviews along with that. We just started to stand out.
What's of your current marketing mix? Like what percentage is digital versus anything else?
I'm a huge digital guy. I'm trying to force myself to get back into some of the more, like the digital, the direct mail and everything like that. But I want the majority of my budget to be going to digital, where it's, mostly Google. Like Google still runs a lot of our marketing dollar. Streaming TV, we've gotten very involved in over the last couple of years, and I really like that. Radio, live TV.
Okay.
Facebook ads, Instagram ads.
You use the traditional media as well.
We do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, where, what channels are you on? Let's start there.
For the live TV and radio and that stuff. Yeah. So WMUR is the, news station in New Hampshire, and we do stuff with them. We'll, get like Bruins games, Patriots games when we can. Those, you got to pick your spots on those. Very expensive. We try to do everything like value, like, okay, like we do this much for that.
So wait a minute. So you want to be sure, because it's a big audience.
Yeah.
Those games. So you're like, I'm okay with spending more for that because I know a lot of eyeballs versus just letting them throw spots all over the place.
I don't like just signing up for the random spots where it could be whatever time of day and whatever station. On the live TV side, it's really hard to control who's seeing your stuff on live TV, but New England is such a sports area. So like Boston sports, like I know people are watching that, so we'll try to get into that. But the reason I really like streaming TV is it's a lot cheaper than live TV, and you're going after people that you go after your demographic. They can target it there just to your zip codes that you want. You're not wasting any space advertising in towns you don't service or states you don't service.
Right.
And the frequency for the people that you want your ad in front of is a lot higher too.
Yeah, for sure. Who manages the production side of your TV stuff?
A company called Yellow Dog Creative. Yeah. They've been out to us they did 2 site visits with us and built us a bunch of different commercials and stuff. And they'll still make edits for us and everything. They're great.
Is it all branding stuff, or there's some offers intertwined?
No, it's mostly branding and commercials, and they do like customer testimonial commercials and recruitment campaigns and that type of stuff. Yeah, they came out great.
On the internet TV stuff, obviously said you can pinpoint zip codes and stuff like that. Is there any like particular shows or how specific do you know where people see?
So I think that's the nice thing about streaming TV is I don't care what they're watching. They're going to see the ad if they're like, one of our groups is their HVAC intenders and that live in this area. So it doesn't matter what they're watching. I can get my ad in front of them because they're just because that's the streaming option.
You mentioned HVAC only, so I'm glad you did that. Are your spots trade specific based on like what needs you have, or is it just kind of all intertwined?
Yeah, we do have trade specific ones. Those aren't the ones that perform the best for us. Like the ones that perform best is typically like our story campaign, our customer testimonial campaign, or our recruitment. Yeah. So we're doing a mix of those, and then we'll do like seasonal spots. Like right now we have like this election themed furnace one where it's like, they're pinning it like your furnace is stealing from you type thing. It's kind of funny, but the audiences though, like it's the HVAC intenders is like just a group of people. So they could be people that are, there's like a home improvement audience that you can target. So it basically just puts them in a demographic like 35 plus, this income, that type of thing. So I just like how specific you can be.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you able to track the effectiveness of it? That you know you're getting leads out of it.
That's hard. It's, just like with radio and live TV, you try your best to do it. You can put a phone number on there, but most of the people are coming to your website. But the reports that you do get from your account managers, you just have to pay attention to. Yeah. Website traffic after your ad has been played is a good one. And they have some other metrics like the amount of times somebody has interacted with your business since seeing your ad. Yeah, they're able to track that stuff now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much is your the PPC side, and how has that evolved over the years? And I mean, how much more targeted are you, or are you getting better with keywords? How has that kind of changed?
Yeah, we have a company that's doing a really good job for us now. PPC has been a battle, and it was the cost per lead when I first started doing it versus now.
It's got really expensive in certain markets. So I think probably everywhere, but it's really bad.
Yeah. So you just have to watch it.
Yeah.
When you're busy, don't run it. You try to scale it back.
But no, you don't cut off completely.
No,
you yourself.
Exactly. You need to always fund the machine that is Google.
You gotta grease that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you just have to pay attention to it. Make sure that whatever vendor you're using is giving you live reporting, real reporting. That's the actual numbers, not hand picking things to make it look good. Because I've seen that too, and that was frustrating to be like, it doesn't feel like it's as good as you're showing me, and then you learn what the real numbers are versus what some companies can show you. Yeah. As what they want you to see.
Any tips or anything on how to do LSA effectively, other than just getting to it right away?
Yeah, well, you have to pay attention all the time. So we have somebody on there every day booking the leads. It used to be your booking rate on those was how you would get ranked. Now it's like a big algorithm, and a big piece of it is a responsiveness rate. So it's making sure that we're answering very quickly. Those phone calls that come in and need to pick up the phone, they don't like it going to voicemail. Google doesn't. So it's just being aware of what Google is looking for and trying to stay aware.
Who manages all that for you guys? You said there's another
marketing coordinator. Yeah, another cousin of mine. Pat.
It is really big.
It really is. Yeah, and she does a really good job. She's worked with us for probably come up on 3 years now. And so I've been able to kind of give her things more and more over time.
So so I want to pursue that a little bit. When was the right time for you guys to add that?
We had there was so much of it to do, and the sales side on the HVAC side was so busy, and I was kind of at that time managing the installs along with the sales. So it was like I was noticing that the social media stuff that I was doing was going, I would make YouTube videos, and that was kind of getting placed on the back burner. And it's funny because I was everybody always kind of thinks marketing it's just over there, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm the first person to be no, it's so important, but I was letting it slip away as different things got busier. So when we felt like it wasn't staying up to par, I didn't feel like I was doing a good enough job handling it by myself, then we looked into that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just intrigued because it's good for people to know that want to hey, maybe we need that.
Mm-hmm.
What are her duties all include?
Yep. So she runs all of our social media. She builds our Facebook ad. She manages the LSA. She is sitting in on the SEO and PPC meetings with me now, and the meetings with the TV, radio people, kind of learning that, and eventually she'll take that on too. She also answers the phone, and she sets up leads for the sales guys. So she'll wear a bunch of different hats. You got to keep everybody doing everything. Yeah.
Is social just been a really good branding medium, or are you able to tell if you get any leads from it, or is it just good to be out there?
Oh, we definitely do.
Yeah.
We definitely do. I think you have to be out there now. It's just part of building your brand. So many people are there and paying attention now. We had no social media presence when I first started, and started making some videos on how-to tips on different things.
Yeah.
People liked it, and it just is all part of the pie of things that help people recognize who you are.
Yeah, for sure. You guys have been growing, so you're doing something right. You're able to keep leads going. Mm-hmm. It's always, that means you're putting some budget towards it.
Yes.
What percentage of revenue, if you don't mind me asking, percentage of revenue do you dedicate towards advertising?
Towards advertising, we've been able to keep it under 10%, which has been
But you're close.
Yeah,
so
we're right up.
You recommend.
I think this year will be about 8%.
Yeah. It's for some people, with a lot of people, 1 to 2%. It's you wonder why you're not getting calls.
Yeah, no, we're still trying to grow, and we probably could be a bit more aggressive on the spend with it.
Yeah.
That's a battle that I'll have with our CFO later.
Think about the best thing you've learned on this podcast, or any podcast ever. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how life-changing was it? Did it change whether you could take vacations or where you vacation? Did it change how much time you spend with your family or what you could provide for your family? Now, I'm not saying learning new things that make a smaller impact isn't helpful. Of course it's helpful. So is hearing from people who've been in your shoes and who know what you're going through. It's why we made this podcast, and we hope you get new insights, tips, and techniques from it, as well as encouragement. But if you're looking for a truly life-changing transformation, then information alone isn't going to do it. You need a coach. I'm Rebecca Castle, CEO of CertainPath, and I know you need a coach because I needed one when I was in your shoes, running a home service business where I was the CEO, the head trainer, the ops manager, the salesperson, the call taker, and everything else. That's why I'm certain that knowledge isn't enough, because I'd been a coach to home contractors before starting my company. I knew all the stuff, the right things to do, the procedures and strategies, and I still needed a coach. Fortunately, I had one, so I was able to grow that tiny HVAC company large enough to sell it for life-changing money. And since coming back to what was then SGI and coaching other home service businesses through that same life-changing journey, I know what's possible when you're given the tools and a coach and a community. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll prove it to you. If you've got 90 minutes, I have a free virtual starter session that'll beat any podcast or seminar you've ever taken for delivering truly transformative content. It's free, no commitment. We just want to share with you 4 major things that we do think are the first steps to transforming your business. And all you have to do is go to mycertainpath.com and book a starter session. Because as helpful as our podcasts are, I'm betting you're going to find our starter sessions to be the best first steps you can take towards true transformation.
Let's talk HVAC just a little bit more before I switch to electrical. How did that department kind of progress then? As you said, so that, I forget off the top of my head what year that started. So it was right when you came in.
Yeah, we had
Joined us, and then how did that kind of progress?
We had a plumber who was learning HVAC when I first got in. So he was kind of starting to do we would do maybe 1 AC a month. And then the furnaces he was a little bit more comfortable with. And then another guy started to learn it. And so by the time I was selling, we had 2 guys that could service and install. Yeah. And that was kind of the department.
Okay.
And then more people were interested. More of our plumbers were. Actually, one of our plumbers at the time, who's now our plumbing service manager.
Yeah.
Learned HVAC too. So he was our plumbing and HVAC service manager for a while.
Yeah.
Great guy, great tech. So it was a lot of in-house people, and then we started being able to hire HVAC specific, and that took us some time to figure out actually. For whatever reason, we were couldn't bring on HVAC only people. We could only bring on plumbers and get them to learn HVAC.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Doing this, it's just, I feel like the experienced guys want to make sure you're serious about it.
Yes.
I think that's part of it, because there's enough people that go, I'm going to dabble in this. Yeah. And then it's what a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, you got yourself established, and then people are like, okay, they're legit. I've heard about them for a while now.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's a big part of our business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you make sure that this is always some interesting when I talk to people and they're starting new divisions? A lot of attention, seems like sometimes all their attention goes to the new division, launching this. And yet you have this other side that's the core of the business that really is the powerhouse. Very easy to forget about these guys, right?
Yeah.
So what was the key to make sure, because plumbing, you said still 50, 60% of your business today?
Yeah, closer to 60.
Yeah. So, it's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
How did you make sure that didn't fall apart while you're putting all this attention towards marketing, towards launching this new HVAC division?
I think just my dad being able to still work on the plumbing side. Yeah, Susie, like I was talking about, our operations manager, still being heavily involved in that, and him kind of just giving me the runway to do what we needed to do with HVAC. And it was I tell everybody who asks about starting it, it doesn't happen quick. It just is, you chip away at it and chip away at it. You get a little bit more marketing spend that way. You get a little bit more. You start to get better at it. You hire the next person. It's just, you just have to work at it every day, but it's not right away. You can just be all right, we're going to dump half of our marketing spend into HVAC.
Right.
It's more, groundwork, word of mouth, letting your current customers know that you do it, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did, in terms of management, first of all, how many plumbers do you guys have nowadays?
Now, 14.
14. Yeah. And you have how many service managers to handle? Do we have one guy that kind of manages?
One plumbing service manager. Yeah. And now we just made somebody an HVAC manager to take some off his plate because he had the HVAC guys.
Yeah. 14 is a lot.
He had a lot of guys.
Plumbing.
Yeah.
When was the right time to add your dad and you? Because I know you said your dad was pretty much running the plumbing side. When is it the right time to elevate a service manager there?
So we probably still did that like 2 years ago, maybe. Our first one we had, that was probably 3 years ago. It was just kind of a main guy that was still out in the field at first for the techs to have a contact with. So it wasn't my dad always getting phone calls about like code stuff or whatever else and pricing stuff. So they had, a tech that was still out there.
Right.
He's called our service manager, but he's still running 3-4 service calls a day.
Leader.
Yeah, it took us a while to get that person out of the field and just into the office. And then still sometimes we'll send him out. He's got to be in the office,
Yeah.
It's just that battle where, things get busy and they want to go help out and be there too. Yeah.
So he did both trades at first.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get him to finally go, okay, you got to stay here and talk to everybody?
It was more just like, we just got to control the schedule. Like it's, we should try not to overload him. And he wanted it too. Like we started taking him to some of these management trainings with CertainPath and stuff. And he's like, okay, kind of understood what the role should be a little bit more.
Right.
That was something that we could have like communicated the expectations of the role better, but bringing him to this and then him seeing it was like, okay, I kind of see what you guys want.
Right. So what is his role then day to day? Obviously you're handling all those phone calls, but what kind of, how does he keep the guys accountable that they're doing when they should be doing the inspections and the options? Like, is he talking to them and, okay, I didn't see us on this job. I mean, maybe talk through what he does on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So it's a lot of tech support, but reviewing invoices, like you said, the $99 tickets, seeing what was going on there. The recalls, he's bringing guys in and talking about that and training on it.
Yeah.
He runs the plumbing trainings, mostly every Wednesday, unless I have something to go in there and do with them.
Yeah.
So through trainings, meetings, one-to-ones, all of that stuff, he holds them accountable that way.
Okay.
Well, a way we've been training for a while is reviewing invoices, $0 tickets or $99 service fee tickets. And, if there's no options on there, we're like, what could we have done? And we'll do it together as in the training.
When you kind of like, okay, this is your deal. You're in the office. Did you notice performance for everybody kind of went up because they're being held more accountable and you got someone watching everything?
Yeah, I did feel that way. Quality control wise and just performance for on the sales side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess when you said, okay, you're doing plumbing only, who filled in that HVAC side then?
It was a comfort advisor that we led. Yeah. So he got an interesting story. He started as a technician. Yeah. Did very well with that. Was, always his, not for us, but was a technician for another company who was pretty well established in the HVAC market, much more so than us at that time. And he kind of had learned the way it was supposed to be done, flipping tech leads, building options, selling equipment. So he went from a technician to a comfort advisor, joined us. As everybody, I think, knows, it's been a weird year.
Yeah.
Consumer behavior has been very strange. So
especially you're part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm not going to say there was no volume, but it was tough with two salespeople to keep them constantly busy or as busy as those guys like to be. Like, like the good sales guys, they want to be really busy all the time.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't like quite there. And so me and him started working together on, all right, how can we get tech leads to look a little bit better? And the more conversation I have with him, I'm like, I feel like he's been at all these CertainPath events and like has sat in all these classes. Like he really, I thought, understood what we were trying to do. And him being a tech, I thought he could have some positive insight for the techs instead of just hearing it from me.
Yeah.
So he started doing some trainings and ride-alongs with those guys, and those went well. And then we talked about a service manager position for him. So
he was eager to do it.
He was. He's still going to sell some systems.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was excited about it. Yeah. So it was good. Yeah.
That's cool. And I bet you're plumbing for the other plumbing HVAC manager.
Yeah.
He was relieved a little bit.
He was. It was like, is everything all right? Like, yeah, but no, we want to take some stuff off the hands. You have a lot of guys to deal with. So I think it's been good.
You talked because it's been a little harder. That's right. And you're right. We've got to really focus on doing the flips properly.
Yes.
How have you gotten better those? What are some things you learned, maybe you weren't doing well, that you got better at? So what's the key to success with those?
Yeah, so probably a fault of mine is like I would always talk way too much about like age of equipment, and I think because I was doing that, it was like the reasons they were giving to customers for you need a new system is, hey, it's old.
Oh, yeah.
But they need to know, they don't care if it's old, like what's wrong with it. And so building out those options, giving everything from, your have to, should do, could do.
Yeah.
And then that could do is basically rebuilding the whole boiler, the furnace, your AC system. And it becomes a pretty big quote. And it's like, hey, all of this stuff has to be done at some point. It's out of warranty. And then those conversations really help build it.
Yeah.
And then getting the salesperson out in a timely manner. But you can't just go and say, oh, it's old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the key to sales in this space is educating homeowners.
Yeah.
Like if they get it, if they can understand why you're oh, okay, well, that makes sense. I mean, I don't want to spend that money, but it makes sense, right? So to kind of convey that to the guys, it was just more training, like, hey, we need to alter our approach.
Yeah, it was definitely more training and just the mindset of like, we don't want to decide for the customer.
Right.
If you give them one option, you're not giving them a choice. Like, and that's not what we're doing. We're educating and offering options, just like you said with the education piece. And so really that's been a big focus of the training. Don't spend the customer's money. Don't choose for them. Give them the options, let them decide, educate them based on what you know. Don't have the blinders on when you go in and look at that system, like look at the full picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys decided you weren't busy enough. You decided to start another trade. So you got an electrical. What year was that?
2022.
2022. So a couple of years ago. How did you decide you were ready for it? You just kept getting calls?
Honestly, we opened the electrical side mostly to support the HVAC install side at first.
Yeah.
Our subcontractor costs were crazy on electrical. And so it was like, if we could just get somebody in here. But of course, like we start talking like, well, if we get a master electrician, then we can hire service guys and we can start this department thing. So we got one master electrician, which was awesome. We were looking for so long. And then finally, something worked out and we were able to bring somebody on, get our corporate license. And it started out really as a lot of support. And then I'd say after the first year, we started focusing more on reaching out to customers and letting them know, hey, we have electrical now.
Was it just how you changed how you answered the phone versus dialing out and say, because I know some people that, oh, hey, Paul's plumbing and electrical.
We should do that. Yeah, we don't. We should though. And that's a good idea because it is a lot of just outbounding. We send out a lot of text messages where we're always mentioning that we do electrical.
Okay.
We started, a PPC budget for the electrical side. I'll turn on the local service ads, mention it in our radio and TV spots. Now the trucks say plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical.
Right.
So that's been another gradual thing, just like with HVAC. The electrical has just been chip away at things as we can get there.
Yeah.
But it's been going well. We're up to 4 techs now.
That's right.
And they all just finished electricians advanced and they're all kicking butt out there. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's very cool. Would you guys go to it or did Aaron come to you guys or?
Aaron went to, I want to say Tingley.
Oh yeah.
In Mass. Sorry if it's not them. It was I just saw them the other day. It was definitely a company in Mass.
Yeah.
So I was able to send 2 to that one, and then the other 2 I sent to Dallas.
That's correct.
And they just finished that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. What's the value? Again, we really haven't. We've talked some training, but selfishly, we haven't talked CertainPath training that much.
Yeah.
What's the value of having that outside resource? Training.
It's awesome. It's not just for the techs, but for management. But our technicians who went. They're coming back to me and they're bought in and, we're texting back and forth. And
the buy-in too, that's big. Right?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think you can train in-house as much as you want to. And like, I obviously still do run trainings. But when you get like, someone like Aaron who lived it, did it and has trained on it for so long, like he's able to resonate with those guys on such a different level and, really show them how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the electricians you've added, were they current electricians or were the guys that you kind of raised up, like green guys?
Yeah, no, they were all the licensed guys that we have were current electricians. And then we have a 3rd-year electrical apprentice with us, another cousin of mine. And then
it's a prerequisite to getting hired.
It's a little bit. And then a 2nd-year apprentice that we have.
Oh,
yeah.
Very good.
So
So I guess just between you altering your marketing and kind of outbounding people, you do it. It's been able to keep the board pretty busy.
it has, yeah. Definitely you need like the HVAC install side still keeps them busy, and then we're able to supplement it enough with the service side, and that's getting better and better. Like there are times where we're booked out like a week on electrical. I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. And then there's times where like, okay, let's call everybody in our contact system and try to fill this board.
How's your club membership then evolved with the free trades?
Yeah, so we've just had to continually add to it. It's changed a few different times over the years, but now customers have an option to hold 4 memberships with us. They can do a plumbing only. We have one for plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, and then you can have any combination of those that you want to. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the key to pitching that then? Well, how do the techs pitch that exactly in the home?
Yeah, I think our biggest benefit with our club memberships is the only time we'll go out on a night or a weekend or a holiday is for a club member emergency.
Okay.
That's it. We're not sending guys out for any new customers on call unless it's, the only non-club members we're going to are recall or warranty stuff after hours.
Yeah.
So customers who have had that emergency situation have struggled to get somebody out, see the value in that. They also get the club member pricing, but I try to make that like the last thing that you talk about when you're presenting pricing. You show that you can get a discount on it. You're hopefully planting a couple seeds along the way of that call on the other benefits of the membership, not selling it, but just talking a little bit about it. And then when you get to presenting pricing, you throw that membership price on there, and that's when you ask.
Have you guys done any cross-selling a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We're trying to get that more and more, but it kind of happens naturally.
Yeah.
Especially at the plumbers, like they've been trained on the process so long, and we've had that so long. They're in the basement, they're looking at everything.
Exactly. That furnace looks like older than me.
Exactly. So they'll get it, switching that over.
Yeah. Look, let's talk about the leadership team. You rolled through the org chart. Good sized group now. And how do you guys communicate? Like, what kind of meetings do you guys have to understand what's going on? What's that look like?
Yeah, we have, so we do quick 30-minute weekly meetings where we're actually like just watching like a leadership video from like LA On Demand or something like that, or like one of your videos or something that we see like management driven that we think could help us, whether it's, leadership, motivational, operational, just something that is good for the management team. It's a quick 30-minute meeting, talk about the video real quick, and then back to work. And then once a month, we have kind of our bigger management meeting where we go over prior month numbers and all that type of stuff. And everybody kind of gets what they need to out there.
Yeah. Do you guys ever establish like initiatives or objectives? It's like, okay, we know we want to grow the business. So that means, okay, how many more trucks are we going to add? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I'll say that Phil, our CFO, has been pretty instrumental in that side of things. Like coming from corporate America, he was seeing how we were kind of running our meetings and doing our stuff. And he's like,
what's going on?
All right, we need a checklist on this. Like we need now like in our management meeting, it's like prior action items. That's what we go over first. Then he's like, okay, new action items. And then he assigns all that to everybody and stuff like that. So it's really good. So now we have that kind of focus and you know what you need to get done before next month's meeting. And it gets you moving in the right direction. You
guys got so much change, right? We've talked field, we've talked management. Sonia Missy would kill me if I don't talk about the call center.
Yep.
And it really has to evolve a lot, right? When you're adding that many new trades and people, how has that changed? What are some things you learned how to do it correctly, and what are some things you're like, oh, that wasn't smart, or we waited too long to do that?
Yeah, it's hard. I think sometimes like you just do things and then you're like, oh, by the way, we do this now. Like you tell them, they're like, what? And then you're like, oh, I probably like should have like trained up on that, or we could have done a little like, teaching about common electrical issues or something like that. So customers aren't getting put on hold every time they say, do you guys do this? You know what I mean? Like, so that was definitely something that I saw. I'm like, all right, we could have rolled that out a little bit better.
Yeah.
But you train quickly after you see it's not working well,
right.
And they're doing a really good job now. We have like, I'd say like 5 people total answering the phones, but we got 3 kind of dedicated call center reps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have 1 dispatcher.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and I'd say 2 now.
Okay.
It's kind of like Susie, for as much of like, you don't need to dispatch anymore. Like she still likes to have her hand in it a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's the most important thing in the business, truthfully.
Yeah, it really is. And then Erin, who's our office manager, is our main dispatcher, and she's been training one of our CSRs on how to do it as well. That's right. We'll split it up a little bit.
So they meet in the morning maybe, and then also in the late afternoon and kind of look at what's ahead, what they need to move around?
Yeah, a lot of times Erin will send out a message to everybody about, hey, here's how the day looks. This is what we're looking to add. We have a full board, but if this or this call comes in, and they all know their priorities, ask me first, and then we'll figure it out type of thing. And then, Tiffany is starting to learn that as well. And they are talking all day. Like I can hear them from my office. They're going back and forth all day, just working that board. Everybody who's been in the dispatching role knows how crazy that can be and how much change there is on a board throughout a day. So yeah, they're pretty active.
How do they learn the technician's strengths and weaknesses? Who's better at certain calls? Who's closes at better opportunities?
It's a time thing, but we try to give reports on that too.
Yeah.
We try to keep the management team pretty up to date on how different guys are performing, and then I think Susie has the best feel for it, and she just is like, no, this guy's this, and she'll let Erin know, and Erin has a really good feel for it now too.
It's great you're multi-tiered with the dispatch. It's not just one person now.
Yeah.
Because it's like if she gets too busy or, goes on vacation, God forbid,
So here's what happens when vacations happen, right? So Erin is Susie's daughter. So they go on vacation, and it's my cousin and my aunt, and they go on vacation together. And then all of a sudden I'm dispatching again, and I'm screwing everything up. They get back and yell at me and all that. So
it's a family, but that's a reminder right there.
Yeah. But no, to the size that we are now, like when I have to run that dispatch board, I'm like, oh man, like this is, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm glad I have them helping. Yeah.
Just kind of reflecting back. I mean, again, so much change, so much positive change, but a lot. Any lessons learned from scaling this fast? Things you might have done differently you'd recommend to members or anyone?
Yeah.
Approach it differently?
Definitely. I think we grew really fast, especially when COVID happened. And it was just like such fast growth that we lost a little bit of like that operational excellence. You start to see your profits and stuff dip, and I think Gus was saying yesterday, you're working so much harder and making less money. It's like, so just to really growth is great, but make sure you're like handling it. You can handle it, and don't just sacrifice, the things that are going well for that more top line revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the key to tightening it back down to get the right margins again?
We just had to take control again. It was like, let's slow down here. Not so much like slow down, like we still wanted to fill the board and everything, but let's get back to training every week, like making sure guys are doing things the right way, our quality control stuff, all of that stuff. Like we know how crazy it is. We know there's a million calls to get to, but we got to take care of that stuff first. We got to get the guys in the shop, got to do the trainings. The quality control is super important. So just really getting back to basics. Like,
yeah.
When the fast growth happened, we got away from that a little bit.
There's a little different line of questioning, but you guys have grown so fast, and you're adding trays, you're adding trucks. How's your office changed or grown?
Opposite.
Yes. That's something people will go,
yeah,
I wish I'd have thought about that, because holy cow, I have nowhere to put these people and the stuff.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up now with the timing of what we're going through. So we built a new shop like 2 years ago. It's down the street from our old shop, which was a much smaller place. And now we're just about outgrown this current shop that we're in now. So we're like knocking down walls and building more offices and stuff like that. Yeah. So I mean, I'd take any advice that anybody else has for me on that, because we're like, we have nowhere to park. Like we have to build another warehouse where we just have to get a new space. And it's like, it's crazy that we've already gotten to that point. And, we thought this was going to be it for, a long time.
Yeah. How have you mentioned warehouse? That's always something I forget to talk about. How have you gotten better or good at inventory control and making sure the truck doesn't have 8,000 of one part, and all of a sudden you're like, where'd all my money go? Oh, it's in the trucks. So have you gotten better with that? How have you established that?
That's a bear of a project. That's a tough one.
Especially your size. Yeah.
Yeah. But we weren't good at it for a long time, where I feel like the last year we've gotten way better at it.
Yeah.
My brother is also our warehouse manager now.
Getting that role, I think, is a big part of it.
It was a quick transition for him. I think he was running a call. My dad called him and said, "Come back to the shop right now. You're running the warehouse." You just let go our former warehouse manager, and it was like, "Danny, you're coming back here. You're running this now." So that's how Danny was kind of taken out of the field every day.
Yeah.
And so he's got a really good handle on it now.
I don't want to pick on the guy that got ousted.
Yeah.
But what wasn't he doing right? This is good for people to.
Yeah. So the final straw, I'll say, is like my dad had just been out walking the warehouse, looking at everything that we had. Then he got an email with like a $10,000 bill from one of our suppliers, and he's looking at everything on it, and it's all sitting out there in the warehouse. And this had been things that they'd have conversations about, and just was not. That was it. So that he went out that day. And
So over the last 12 months, you gotten this fixed.
yeah.
How did you get leaner? How did he kind of?
Well, you know what? Having a person who knows the trade, like running it, makes such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like understanding what all the parts are and everything, so that they're not ordering too much of something, or understanding what guys are using. Like the benefit of having Danny in there is he's run a plumbing service truck. He's run an HVAC service truck. He's been an HVAC installer. Like he's worn a ton of hats in the field. And so he knows what guys are using and what guys need. And he pays attention to what's coming in and out of there. And then he was able to set up a pretty good inventory system for the guys on the truck to log what they're using, and all of that has made it much better.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we're jumping all over the place. All right, I want to wrap up. This has been fun, but I'm keeping you on 100.
Yeah, no problem.
Good. Looking back, what's your relationship with CertainPath meant to the business?
It's been awesome. Like, the support that you get, not just from your coaches, which has been awesome. Like work with Sonia, love Sonia. I love our phone calls, and she's always super helpful. But, you go to the trainings. I've been to the operations management training, the sales management training, EP, all those different ones, and all the expos, and just the people that you meet. Gotten so many phone numbers over the years, and have jumped on calls with people when we're going through different stuff, or they have questions for me. And it's just nice to have people understand what you're going through on a day-to-day basis, and who have made some of the mistakes that you've made, or are preventing you from making some of the mistakes that they've made.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have that support.
Yeah. You mentioned the phone numbers. Remember, you sent guys to other shops.
Yep.
Guys that aren't that far away from you.
Yep.
But you have that. There's a safety, right? We're not worried about them, trying to steal guys, right? How nice is that?
It's so nice. And then that they're running their business the way, like they're going to be saying the same message to our techs that their techs are receiving. The shop visits, like when we have an expo, or if I'm just able to go see a shop, like I think you take more from those sometimes than you do out of any class. You're like, oh, they're doing it this way. Like that makes so much sense. And it just helps a lot. It's good to see other people doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
doing it well.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously this is a podcast. It's on YouTube. There's nowadays people are always looking for answers online, and maybe I'm a guy who's a good sized company. Yeah, I am just losing money hand over fist. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I know what I'm doing, but I'm losing money. What would you say to him or her about Profit Day, and why they should at least check out Profit Day and see what this organization's about?
Yeah. On Profit Day, you're going to just kind of start to get some insight into why you're not making money. I think like you're going to see some stuff, and, somebody's going to mention something. You'd be like, that makes sense. Like, I want to know more about that. And, I know generally, like I went to one in Vermont, about a month ago, and talked to some people there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And and I met a guy, Joe the Plumber, out of Connecticut. And
Are you guys cousins too?
no, we're not.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly, yeah. But we just had similar stories to like how much I feel like everybody you talk to that's been successful in CertainPath, they just say the same thing. Like, we just started following the process, and it started working. Yeah, it's like, no kidding. Like, the process works. So I think that having that in your back pocket, having the coaching, the process, the systems to lean on, and not having to reinvent the wheel, it just helps you focus on running your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have two more questions. You got a lot of family in the business.
I did. But yeah.
What's the key to making that work without killing each other? Because you guys are going through a lot of growth, a lot of change.
Yeah.
Not always easy.
Nope.
So how do you kind of, how do you manage that?
Yeah, I don't know that I even have a good answer for that. It's it just kind of has worked out, and I think it's just maybe some families couldn't, and maybe some families can. And, you know, obviously we've all had our battles, and you have your days where you just have to like not talk for a day, and like, you know, that'll happen. But we're all working towards the same thing. We're all pretty aligned in what we want, and we're all happy to be working together as a family. And like, I just speak to my dad, who obviously runs the ship and has been the leader forever. He's just an awesome guy to work for. And so I think his personality trickles down to everybody else, where we just are able to get along and make things work.
Yeah. How nice. It seems like maybe he's have a little more playtime, a little more easy, able to kind of step back after grinding for decades. How nice is it to see they just got a place in Florida, right?
It's awesome. I'm so proud of him and what he's built, and so happy for him. And it's been really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. What does the future of the business look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
I want to keep growing. You know, we brought on all these people. We have this awesome leadership team going right now. So I think we're, you know, my brother and I are buying it from my dad.
Oh.
So we're in the process of that right now. That haven't just started. So that's going to be the next 5 years. I think that is going to be like a 5-year process anyway, but just continue to get better. Like, you know, I'm at Expo right now. And so like, I'm fresh on like a million things I have to do Monday, but we were just talking about it before we left. If we can just get this much better at this many things, like it's not even like crazy changes anymore. We just need to get a little bit better at this, and we can take it to the next level. So,
well, I'm excited to see you guys do it. I think you guys are going to go a long way. So, Mike, thank you so much for all your time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's fun.
The Successful Contractor podcast is part of the CertainPath family. CertainPath builds successful home service businesses and has for over 25 years. We do it by providing contractors with a proven path to success, professional coaching, software solutions, and a member community of 1,000 plus strong. Doubling your sales with a 20% net profit and an inspiring company culture is all possible. Let us show you the way. With CertainPath, success is made certain. Visit www.mycertainpath.com or call 888-909-6604 for more information.